You are now listening to the Building with AI Promises and Heartbreaks podcast, brought to you by Solid.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first episode with Building with AI Promises and Heartbreaks. In this podcast, we're going to be talking with people who have built in the AI space and have learned their lesson and want to impart those lessons on us. Today, we're going to be a bit less AI and more on the data and analytics space and building a community in that space with my guest, Zack Martin. Hey, Zack.
Hey, Yoni.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
All good. So Zack has been with Solid for nearly a year, actually. So it's about 9 months now. Is that right, Zack?
Yep, that's right.
Cool. We're gonna have that anniversary soon. Zack was prior to Solid, he was at Best Buy for 8 years. His last role there was a senior analyst within the supply chain and strategy and transformation. Try to say that 3 times fast. And then he was an analyst in the same team. And prior to that, he was actually out in the field working with customers of Best Buy. So you have both that handle on what customers actually need, and then also what are the data and analytics needs and what an analyst does on a day-to-day basis. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So when you joined Solid 9 months ago, you started working on something called Data Goats. You want to share where that came from?
Yeah. So Solid had this vision, since Solid is in the data and analytics space, and their, ideal customer user is analysts, right? That they had this vision to create a community for analysts. And I was brought on to make that vision come to life. So it was not called Data Goats to start with. It actually didn't have a name at all. Part of the idea was to start out kind of small, just engaging with people on Reddit and LinkedIn. And then quickly after that, I started to realize that we needed a different place. Reddit and LinkedIn were just far too constrained. They aren't, they're good platforms for what they are, but they're not really good for building a really good like community ecosystem. They're just kind of too locked down. There's not really good ways to engage with members and host events and things like that. It's just not a perfect place to do that, at least not for the analytics space. There are certainly good, good communities that exist in those spaces, but for what we wanted to do, we really needed our own ecosystem. So Goats actually started as kind of like a little like fun, super serious play on something that was supposed to be serious but not serious. So it actually stands for the Global Organization for Analyst Transformations. So it sounds super big and official, but the logo is a goat winking with its tongue out. So it's like it kind of makes fun of itself for, being serious but not serious. That's totally part of the idea behind it is, analytics is one of those spaces where things are super, super serious and there's a lot of hard problems to solve every day. And you have a million requests coming in, from different places all at once. So to have a place where you can talk about your profession and grow and connect with each other, but also have it be like a lighthearted place to just kind of laugh about some of the things that happen in the profession, and be kind of lighthearted about it is really kind of at the core of what it is. So where we had like, close to 1,000 people in a LinkedIn group that we started, now we're spread over Reddit. We've got a meme group on Reddit. And then we have our kind of central platform where the community ecosystem is growing and thriving there, which kind of brings everything from all these different places where people engage all into one place.
So I'm looking for, you mentioned memes. I'm scrolling down here on LinkedIn for a sec, looking for a meme you had recently that really kind of broke broke LinkedIn a bit, I think, to some extent.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull it up. It looks like you posted quite a number of memes since then. You're sort of like the meme king, in this space, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't know about the king, but I'm definitely starting to get a little bit of cred, I think, in the analytics meme space, if that's a thing. Yeah, there's definitely, I know there's an analytics comedian out there that goes by the name of Evan. Shout out Evan Wimpy. He's got some funny stuff out there. He actually like does like speaking events, so like go and like speak at like corporate events and do like analytics humor. So, but yeah, the memes seems to be my niche. I've always been like a big fan of memes. I think they're a really fun way to like, share knowledge sometimes, but also just like have fun with things. Like again, the day to day can be so serious. So like just seeing a meme like this is, kind of silly. And it's funny because a lot of people reach out and they're like, yeah, I didn't even know what a cross join was before
Yeah.
this meme. So it's kind of funny stuff. Like you can learn a little bit, but also like just kind of get a laugh. And this was just like such a huge cultural moment, anyways. Like the Trump Jerome Powell thing was just such one of those moments where everybody's just like, what's going on? So it was just like the perfect opportunity to throw something fun out there.
Yeah, looks like you got a lot of people that like it, nearly 600 people. But I gotta say, when I read it, like I could literally hear his voice in my head, him saying, and I can't imitate Trump. I don't know how to do it, but
Yeah.
I could hear his voice, and it just made me laugh so much. And also, by the way, I didn't know what a cross join was either. I never used one. Luckily, I guess, because it probably would have crashed a database.
Yeah, I've never used one either, actually. I was looking for premises and like what's something that would just like absolutely destroy a database. And like, I mean there are uses, legitimate uses for a cross join, but like if you just select it all with a cross join, I mean you're selecting every record, every table, it would just be a nightmare. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
turns out it was one of those funny things that just worked. But yeah, sometimes they're a miss. Like sometimes they're just, like maybe you just miss like that tagline the wrong way. I mean, I'm not a comedian by any means, but I've always been a big fan of comedy, and sometimes you just have to try stuff and see if it works. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, I think it's fun for people to just, you know, hopefully the community starts making a lot of their own memes as well. We might have something cooking for that in the
Oh,
future.
that'd be nice to see some of the members do it. And I think that's sort of like a learning, right? The fact that, people can relate to funny things and people need a bit of fun. You talked about it, that the community has a bit of a fun side to it, even the logo itself with the goat. It seems like that's really something that's connecting people to the community, or maybe a learning for how to get people to engage. Is that a right way to think about it?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of like brands that have leaned into it. This guy I actually follow, and I learned about it. It's actually how I started using it as a meme utility. This guy Jason Levin, he's got this book called Memes Make Millions, and he works with all these like huge brands and uses humor. And there's a lot of people out there. Aiden Brannigan, No Boring Brands. There's a lot of like these folks out there that have figured out how to like use humor to take really serious topics and just kind of like make light of them. And so because like everybody likes to laugh generally. So if you can find a way to, kind of make light of these like really frustrating or annoying situations that we deal with in our day to day, I think like it's authentic, and it helps people kind of like understand like, oh, this brand, they like actually have a problem, or in my case, like this community has a place where I want to be, or this brand has a problem I want to solve, or something that I want. But they actually understand me. They understand that like this is a real problem that I have, and we can all laugh about it. But like, hey, they might actually have like a solution to this. So in our case, it's like, yeah, we understand like sometimes you want to pull your hair out with these problems that you have with like your stakeholder or whatever, or like the new junior analyst that just broke the database. Well, you can like come and hang out on your lunch break or after work, jump on one of our like social hours. Like we did a happy hour social hour virtually last week actually, which was a lot of fun. You can hop on this and just kind of vent and talk about those kind of things, and we can all laugh about it and maybe learn something along the way too, which is great.
That's fantastic. It's great to think about that human connection. And maybe speaking about learning something, can you give maybe an example of something that you thought would work but didn't work in the end? And you learned from it, right? You tried it, didn't work, something that you wanted to share here.
Yeah, gosh, it's hard to pick just one thing. I've tried a lot of stuff in the beginning. Like I will say right now, I'm the first one to admit like I have totally used ChatGPT to write a post, and I was like, hey, like it seems like everybody's doing it. I can totally clock it, like, and they're getting okay engagement, like whatever. Like maybe I'll try it, save me some time. Maybe I'll get more posts out there. Especially if it's like advertising or whatever, trying to get people like outreach, trying to get people to join the community. I've tried it. It's just not good. Like it's totally was like, yeah, it looks like it would be good, but like it lacked that authenticity and the
Yeah.
realness, like the actual human connection. So like even though like okay, it seems like it's good, like technically it seems like it's decent writing and whatever, and I figured like, hey, maybe it'll save some time. it just doesn't get any engagement. It doesn't get any interaction really, because people just can sense like, it's like, yeah, it's okay, but it's not like connecting with me like on a level of like a human. I have way better engagement and connection on my content whenever it's me just like talking how I would talk, because
Mm,
that's what people like when they're reading it. They're like, oh, okay, this is like a conversation I would have with a coworker over a drink at a bar after work or something like that,
yeah.
versus like this, just kind of like polished, like, yeah, maybe there's some value there. Like maybe I prompted ChatGPT really well and there's actually really good value in that post, but it doesn't sound authentic or real. Like I'd say that's one of the biggest learnings, especially for anybody that's going to be out engaging publicly with an audience, whether it's with their product or with a community. Just ChatGPT is great for like idea generation and it can save time with things. But for the love of God, please rewrite it. I mean, people are just tired of like,
Yeah.
just seeing the stuff that gets cranked out and just spitting it out there. Like, again, great for idea generation, but I'd say that's one of the biggest learnings. Fortunately, I learned really quickly. Like, it was probably within my first month or so that I just started realizing, like, yeah, these posts just aren't working. And then I would see people post and talk about it, like, yeah, please just stop writing stuff with ChatGPT or posting it. Like, at least edit it, make it in your voice. Like, again, use it for generation, but it shouldn't be the ultimate thing that you put out there. I'd say that was probably one of the biggest learnings. And I had to be like really vulnerable with myself and just be like, yeah, I tried it because like everybody was doing it, but then I was like, yeah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Just doesn't
Yeah.
work.
I agree with you. I also tried it a few times and it spits out this very very structured, very typical structure of a post with, emojis or emoticons and
M
you just look at
dashes.
it and you're like, yeah, and M dashes, of course, M dashes. But you look at it, you're like, it's not me. I don't feel related to it. If I was reading it, I could see it was AI immediately. So, yeah, I use it for ideas and I edit it quite a bit, give it my voice.
Yeah, which I think is fine. Yeah, it's fine to use it for a layout or an outline or whatever. Like I think that's great. It can save a lot of time. But I think what I realized too is like even if it did kind of sound like me, if it's just like, and they say this in like software all the time too. I've like heard software people talk about this, like, oh well, you can use it to just crank out like boilerplate code. Well, in the same way, like you could use it to crank out boilerplate content. But it's like, do I want my stuff to be boilerplate? Like I don't really. Like, because
Yeah.
what's the value in that? It's like there's plenty of boilerplate content out there. I don't need it to be boilerplate. So I think that was one of the biggest like aha, like yeah, don't do that anymore. It's not valuable. If I'm not putting valuable stuff out there, then why put anything out there at all?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes no sense. Your audience won't engage with it. They won't like it. You're doing a disservice to everyone by doing that, right? Makes sense. So when you're kind of thinking a few months out for the community, so there's the website now, there's the LinkedIn community, there's the Reddit meme, the meme subreddit. Looking out a few months, where do you see the community going?
Yeah, ideally, membership continues to go up. Like, the community needs more people to thrive. That's a big part of it. So I think getting more and more members is a big part of it. But having more events, like that's definitely been the best feedback that we've had about the community is just having these really fun events where people can get together. It's the human connection that we talked about earlier. I think that's what people crave, especially when there's like a lot of us work remote. I love the flexibility of being able to work remote, but there is a part of like person to person connection that unless you're very intentional about networking with people, and virtually is fine. I'm okay with doing it virtually, but unless I go out of my way to make sure that I do that, fortunately I do it a lot for my job, then it can get very lonely working remote. So, and I think a lot of people are in that boat, especially since like COVID, while there has been a lot of people that have gone back to the office, a lot of people still work remotely. I think having those events where you can engage with the community of people that are like you, that can relate to you. I know if I talked about analytics stuff with my spouse, she's going to be like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. If she talks to me about healthcare stuff, which is what she does,
Yeah.
I'm gonna know what she's talking about. So it's nice to have a community where you can talk to people. So I think the events are thing number one. I think that like more and more events is something we need to do. Maybe we have in-person events eventually. I don't know if that's a few months out,
Yeah,
but I think that would be really cool if we get to that point in the future, especially since I know we have a ton of members on the West Coast. Maybe we do a West Coast meetup or something. That would be cool.
that'd be nice.
I think the second thing is the evolution of the platform itself. So, we've talked about doing a lot of different features to make it a place where people want to really go and engage with like on a regular basis, on a weekly, daily, even basis. So I think it can be things, whether it's contests, whether it's games, whether it's things like that. I think those are things that we're going to have to start evolving the platform past just like a web platform with a forum, a wiki. Like those things are great. Like that's kind of the core of the community where people can engage with each other and connect. But I think we need more of those like really interesting things that get people like coming back and really thinking like, okay, this is not just another forum or social place to meet up online like a Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or something like that. Like it's its own thing. And I think that's where it goes next is it really starts evolving and becoming its own thing outside of just another place to meet and connect.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got some pretty cool plans. And note for myself in the future, I should silence my phone when recording these things. So yeah, it sounds pretty exciting, right? There's the human connection, there's the humor, there's the getting connected, the events, online, eventually face to face. It sounds like there's a lot of promise and a lot of where this can go. Um, I know we only have a couple minutes left here in the episode, so I would like to ask you a couple of questions, and I know I didn't give you the questions necessarily too much in advance, so I'm going to put you on the spot here a bit. But here we go. AI tool you can't live without.
I just got to go with the classic Gemini. I mean, that's what I use day
Yep.
to day for my chat. It works great. It does okay code. It doesn't do as good as like a Claude, I don't think, but Gemini, I think is pretty solid for most things.
Okay. An AI myth you'd bust in one sentence.
Mm. That AI is going to replace all of our jobs. I just don't see it. There's too much value in the human perspective for it to do that. Even if it can automate a ton of things away, it can't replace the human perspective.
Okay. Favorite book, podcast, or resource for builders?
Um, I'd say my favorite podcast right now has to be the Lex Friedman podcast. I just think he always has a lot of world leaders on, which is always really fascinating. But he's an MIT research scientist and
Mhm.
has a bunch of really interesting like AI and programming people on that I always find really fascinating.
Okay. Yeah. How do you, by the way, deal with the length of his episodes? I know. Well, you bike a lot, right? You're you know
Yeah.
you're very involved in mountain biking. So maybe do you put him on like while you're biking? Is that what you do?
I don't while I'm writing just because I like to have my ears open, for other writers or whatever. But
Oh yeah, of course.
yeah, no, no, I will put it on if I'm getting like if I'm going on a run or like not on roads or if I'm on the trainer like the stationary bike or something. Then yeah, I'll put it on. But yes, his episodes are really long. I think the last one he posted was like 10 hours long, which I have not listened to.
Oh my
But
God.
yeah, his one with DHH, who is the inventor of Ruby on Rails, which was really fascinating. DHH is just a really interesting programmer, developer guy. I think that one was like 6 hours, so it was pretty long.
Wow. Yeah.
I break it up. I have to break it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to listen while working out, etc. The only problem is I don't work out that much, so it's hard to get through the episodes.
I can definitely do more. Yeah, I hear you.
Cool. So I think, maybe just a last question for you. If you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Do your best to be curious and adaptable. I'd say that's like kind of become my mantra for life. And I think it applies to just about everything that you do. I think you can pretty much apply it. Like if you kind of lead with curiosity, I think it breaks down a lot of conflict that people can have in their life if you're just genuinely curious about others' perspectives, but also new things. And then just being adaptable. So, like, whatever life throws at you, your career, your relationships, the more you embrace being able to just, kind of take what comes to you and switch it up as needed, I think the easier life gets for you. You're still going to have challenges, but the best you can do to remain relevant and sane in this crazy world we live in.
I like it. I agree with you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our episode. Zach, thank you very, very much for being the inaugural guest on this podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time and hope to see you again on this podcast. Have a good afternoon. Oh, and by the way, of course, now I'm going to enjoy saying this. Whoever's listening, please subscribe, share, leave review on whatever podcasting you're using. It's quite funny that I'm saying that, but yeah, that's the beginning of our podcast. Thanks, Zach. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.